Hey, it's Gyi with Attorney Sync. Today, I want to talk about some of the factors that go into choosing the right SEO agency for your law firm. Now, at the risk of stating the obvious, I founded a law firm SEO agency, and so you can recognize and acknowledge my bias and take my opinion with a grain of salt. But having done this now for over a decade, I've learned a lot about what's out there in the marketplace, and so I thought I'd share some of the things that we tend to see. So the first question we get a lot is, should I search for an SEO company on Google, right? So the thinking is that you search for a law firm SEO agency, and the folks that show up in Google, they must be good at SEO because they're ranking their own site. Unfortunately, this isn't always the case. A lot of firms can spend a lot of resources, time, money, effort on getting their own site to rank, but that doesn't mean it's going to translate into results for you. And so I wouldn't solely rely on search results for choosing an SEO company. A lot of these agencies too, they might be gaming the system, and what ranks today might not rank tomorrow. If they're employing those tactics for your law firm, you might get yourself in trouble in a variety of ways. So I wouldn't solely rely on Google. Second question we get a lot about is, should I hire an SEO company from like one of these top SEO lists? And the problem is that a lot of these lists are pay to play, or they're actually created by SEO agencies. And so can recognize that they're not that valuable. And so if you're going to look for a list, make sure you understand who created the list, whether or not people are paying to be on the list, and what the vetting criteria is for the people who are maintaining the list. Another question we get a lot of questions about is, oh, well, this company says they've got this secret system, or like they've cracked the SEO code, or they've reverse engineered the algorithm. And, my problem with this is that it's just really misleading. There are really no secrets about SEO. I mean, sure, people have got systems, they've got their own approach, techniques, tactics, and there's nothing wrong with that. But the issue is that the positioning on selling on a secret system, it really is getting things, in my opinion, off on the wrong foot and developing relationship and setting expectations. And so I tend to think of that as a red flag in terms of, the positioning of like some kind of secret system or secret sauce, proprietary process. And not to say that those things don't have value. They certainly do. I mean, there's a lot of things that we do that we probably would think about as proprietary process, but it's not really so much about the secrets. And in fact, good SEO companies, they should be talking to you about what they're planning to do, why they're planning to do it, and how that's going to impact your law firm. And so the more secrets that they have, I think the more problematic it can be for your law firm. Should I hire an SEO company based on their awards? So a lot of companies will publish that they've won some kind of award, whether it's like a Webby, or they're recognized by some kind of like law firm web design award site. And, that's great. But it doesn't really mean anything in terms of translating into results for clients. If they've won like a search award for some campaign that they did on behalf of another law firm, that might be relevant in your inquiry. But, just because you won a web design award, that's not going to do a lot in terms of actually generating results, assuming that your objective is to actually hit a target cost per client from organic search, or to grow your organic search traffic and convert it into new clients. Those awards really don't have a lot of meaning. Should I hire an SEO company because my competitor uses them? So the thinking here is that you go onto Google, you search for personal injury lawyer, if you're a personal injury lawyer, and you see which of your competitor websites rank organically. And then you click through and you scroll to the bottom of those law firm websites, and you see the vendor, it'll say powered by, or website by, or SEO by. And you think, hey, they're making this other firm rank. That's great. I'll use them as well. Of course, the problem is that search is a winner-take-most game. And so hopefully you recognize that there's an inherent conflict of interest in terms of the company that's working with your competitor and working with you, and how are they going to determine who's going to get the top spots in Google or optimize in the same keyword universe. You might think, oh, well, I could do it, look for non-competing practices, and that's fine. But I would make sure you ask that SEO agency, hey, are you working with any other lawyers that do what I do in my local area, in my state? I think it's really important to think about that. I mean, you recognize conflicts of interest in the practice of law. The same really applies to marketing, in my point of view. Should I hire an SEO company that guarantees rankings? And so again, this is similar to what we talked about earlier with the secret process, but no one can guarantee rankings. And again, it's poor expectation setting. Even if they're going to say, hey, look, we're going to give you your money back if we don't get you ranking for a particular keyword. The question is like, do those keywords even have value? So, if they're going to guarantee anything, maybe you're going to hold them to guaranteeing hitting a target cost per acquisition, or a return on investment or a return on ad spend if you're talking about ads. But again, the issue for me is that they're starting the relationship off on the wrong foot by promising something that they can't guarantee. And so if they're willing to mislead you on that, what else are they going to be willing to mislead you down the road? You really want these relationships to be built on trust. I mean, again, they're going to be marketing your practice online. Hopefully they're familiar with the rules of professional conduct. If they're going to be misleading, do false and misleading advertising to attract you as a client, what are they going to do on your behalf when they're trying to help you market your firm? Should I just hire an in-house SEO person for my firm? So we could do a whole video on agency versus in-house. I don't think there's a right answer on this one. I will just say this. Most of our clients do benefit from some in-house resources in terms of holding agencies accountable in the day-to-day in terms of publishing. But all I would say is that if you're making comparison between agency and in-house, make sure you're making an apples-to-apples comparison, because a single person is not the same as a fully resourced agency across a lot of disciplines, whether that's publishing, technical optimization, link building and PR. There's a lot more to it. And if you can find someone that's great at all those things and can really execute and get the results that you want, and the cost is less than what it is for an agency, I think that's great. I will tell you this, most of the firms that we see that have a tremendous amount of success, they're usually using some kind of combination of both. They've got in-house resources as well as working with experts, agency expertise. So how should you choose an SEO company for your law firm? So, I've spent a lot of time talking about what you shouldn't do. I think about it a lot the same way that I think about any other kind of professional service. Ask a lot of questions, get recommendations from other lawyers that have worked with the agency, define success in advance. I think that's the biggest thing. Like, what can you expect from the agency in month 1, month 6, a year from now? Is that being defined in terms of business metrics, or is it being defined in terms of like content, numbers of pieces of content and links, which really don't have as much meaning in terms of what's going to be valuable for your practice? So getting aligned on success metrics, I think, is like the biggest thing that I could recommend that you do. I would also talk about things like exclusivity. Hey, are you working with other law firms that do what I do? Do you have experience with other law firms like mine? Can you show me results that you were able to get? Make sure that you really you dive deep in terms of results as defined by business metrics, not just SEO metrics. The other thing is how are you being accountable for results, right? Are they going to lock you into a 12-month agreement and be like, talk to you in 12 months? Or are they going to be communicating the value of what they're doing month in, month out? That's why we kind of push back on the long-term contract thing. That's not to say that in some instances in competitive environments, it can take a little while to actually get to a target metric, especially depending on where you're trying to go. But let's have that conversation and define that up front and hold the agency accountable in terms of the engagement. So short-term contracts, or the ability to get out if you're not hitting a performance metric, those are the types of things that I'd be talking about if I was looking for an agency. If you have any other questions about hiring an agency or like what to expect when working with an agency, feel free to reach out to me. You can find me online on Twitter at Gyi Tsakalakis, or you can go to attorneysync.com. That's attorney, SYNC.com. Happy to help you navigate the waters of law firm SEO.